Hello, everybody, and welcome to CDA class. We are going to talk about functional area creativity right now. This is a pretty short chapter, so we will only have one webcam for this week, or web um, class for this week. It's a pretty short chapter. There's not a lot of material in your essentials textbook. However, you do have a lot of questions on this particular chapter. It's going to start off by talking about your environment, and it's going to go back to very similar to functional area learning environment, where we really did an assessment of our area, our classroom. But this time you're going to look at it from a creative standpoint and how you're engaging the children. I wanted to point out, I've got a little presentation that I'm going to go over with you, but I wanted to point out first off on page 201 and page 202 of your Essentials textbook, figure 41 is really fantastic, going over the fundamental learning centers that NAEYC recommends in an early childhood classroom, and how each learning center can foster creativity. So make sure that you read over and pay close attention to figure 41, page 201 through 202. You've got some fantastic stuff. And again, I encourage you to take these two pages and really compare this to your current classroom and make a list of what improvements that you can make to enhance the environment for your kids. After it talks about the learning environment on page 203, it's going to go into creativity through the day with your interactions and your experiences. Again, we've talked about this quite a bit, asking a lot of open-ended questions, really challenging the children. And again, I've got a little presentation that I'm about to do with you on that right there. It's going to talk to visual arts. It's going to talk about drawing and painting. It's going to talk about the difference between random scribbling, controlled scribbling, lines and patterns, and pictures of objects of people on page 2 of exploration, and how you can encourage exploration with the children. And then moving on to page 208, creativity through music, movement, and dance, which is a fantastic one right there. All right. I've got a little presentation that I'm going to turn on my screen now, and I wanted to share with you this presentation on tips to increase creativity in the classroom. So I'll go ahead and start this now. All right. The first tip to enhance creativity in the classroom is recognize that your children are going to make mistakes. But again, mistakes are not obstacles, they are opportunities. And we all learn from mistakes, all right? When a child makes a mistake in the classroom, you don't want them to feel shamed or embarrassed by that mistake. We want them to know that this is a part of life, and how can we learn from it, and how can we prevent this in the future. When you shame a child or embarrass a child for making a mistake in the classroom, they become afraid of making a mistake. And we see that children who become afraid of making mistakes are less likely to be creative. You know that anyone that has a creative output, whether you're a painter or a designer or a dancer or a musician, before you create that masterpiece, you're going to make mistakes first. You're not going to be able to pick up a canvas and paint and immediately throw that masterpiece up there. No, Picasso made a lot of mistakes before Picasso created that masterpiece. So ask your children questions like, what can you do to change the outcome? How can you do this again? What will happen if you try this, and give some suggestions right there. The next tip, go back, is allow the children to get messy, all right? We want children to be messy. That's how they learn. Remember, we learn best through sensory related activities. So the more they touch, the more they taste, the more they smell, it's a learning opportunity for them. Now, keep in mind that you're going to have a lot of children out there, especially with the number of children that are showing signs and symptoms related to autism or Asperger, that they don't like to make a mess. All right. They may get overwhelmed when they make a mess. A lot of times you're going to have children that will ignore their creative output and they won't make a mess because they're afraid their parents will get mad at them if they make a mess, especially if they get paint on their clothing or something like that. So make sure that you've got your smocks, make sure that you have the right supplies, a change of clothes that you can put the child into when you're getting ready for a messy project. And make an adequate amount of room for a mess. Don't try to do a messy project in a small space. All right, this is going to overwhelm the child and it's going to create disaster. So have a good open area and allow adequate amount of room for that. Whenever a child is expressing their creative outlet, praise them. If they're making an effort, if they're trying, we want to be that encourager. All right, so constantly praise them. Remember, it's not about what the end product looks like. It's about what they learned while they were making it. So constantly praise that child and give those open-ended statements to encourage them to do more. Offer praise rather than reward. Okay, so there's a big difference between praise and reward. Rewards can motivate people if used correctly, but rewards can also do the opposite. All right, they can discourage people as well. And of course, know the difference between a reward and a bribe. Okay, you should not be giving children a reward for something that is expected of them. We kind of have this problem quite a bit these days where we're rewarding children for doing something that they should be expected to do. Think about your home life, and when you go home and you cook dinner and you do the laundry and you do the dishes, do you get a reward for that? No, because it's what is expected of you. So when we're talking about getting children to use their self-help skills, we're trying to encourage children to do things in the classroom. We constantly want to dangle that carrot by offering a reward as an incentive for doing what they're expected. We want to discourage that. All right, because that again, it takes that reward and turns it into a bribe, and it also muddies the water on what is expected. All right. Be open-minded when working with children and trying to get them to express themselves creatively. Offer choices as a way to encourage independent thinking. Sometimes when we're trying to get a child to express themselves creatively, we do have to nudge them, we have to push them, we have to encourage them. Sometimes offering 2 or 3 choices will help that process. Would you like to paint at the art easel with feathers today? Or would you like to go and work with collage material with a glue stick? So offer a couple of choices right there. And then ask the children their ideas. And then whenever they do give something, challenge them and ask another question. When they ask you a question, answer it with a question to expand their thinking. And be excited when the child gives you an idea. Be excited about their answer. That's going to get them excited. But you've got to really think outside of the box and be open-minded. Now, an important thing when we talk about creativity in the classroom is that you yourself need to find your creative outlet and let the children know about that. We all need a hobby. Hobby is a great way to reduce stress. It's a great way to kind of keep yourself grounded. Find that creative outlet and display that in the classroom. Whether you paint or you dance or you sing or whatever that may be, talk to the children about it. Make sure that it's age appropriate. Okay, but they need to see and they need to hear that they have a teacher that is creative. That's going to encourage them to be creative. Remember, what you value, they will value. And so the creative side has to be imperative. Where do you put your creative energy? If you don't have some place that you're putting your creative energy, you need to find some place. All right. Again, whether it's singing or dancing, karaoke, whatever that may be, writing, and share that with the children. So like I have right here, creative children or children who watch creative teachers are more likely to express their creative side. All right. Now, when you do have a child that is working on a creative project in the classroom, take a step back. All right. Strike a good balance. Feel free to let the child do this on their own for a moment. They still need to be properly supervised, and you still need to be close enough that you can jump in there when needed. But if a child feels like they're constantly being watched, they're less likely to take a risk and they're less likely to show their creative side. Sometimes even as adults, when we're trying to express our creativity, we need that kind of privacy at the beginning, because even sometimes you don't know if this is going to go over as well as you think it is in your head, and you get very cautious about that, and you can even get embarrassed if there's people watching you and it doesn't turn out the way you want it to turn out. So it's the same thing with the child right there. Don't feel like you immediately need to just jump in there. All right. Set aside creative time. Now, of course, we know that in our early education program, you need to have creative time on your lesson plan. When you're starting to have, some obstacles during your day and you're having to take some things out of your lesson plan, really try to avoid never removing the creative projects, all right? They need that time to imagine, to build, to experiment, to explore. Don't limit this for the children. Toys that flash, all these electronical devices and this technology, that's all a lot of fun, but it does not build creative thinkers the way that sticks and tubes and blocks and dolls and office supplies and sand and water, all of these things have such a bigger impact than some of those closed-minded electronic push this button and this light will flash items. Okay, we want that creative time for the children to understand this. Really do a check in your classroom when you're going through your environment and take a good look at how many closed-ended toys do you have versus open-ended toys. Again, the difference between those, a closed-ended toy would be like in a baby room or a toddler room, you hit this one thing, this one light will flash, or you hit this square and a sound will make. That's pretty close-ended. Whenever you hit it, only one thing's going to happen. Open-ended toys would be toys that you have a variety of different outcomes and a variety of different ways of getting that outcome. That's what we want in our classroom. Of course, again, we have to talk about this almost in every webinar. We want to reduce the amount of screen time that our children are being exposed to. Not only for the brain development and the neuroplasticity that it's causing in the brain, but time spent in front of a screen could be time spent drawing a picture, building a city out of blocks, or serving up Play-Doh cupcakes, all of that good stuff. Some little activities to help encourage creativity in the classroom, just really quick little ideas right here that I always think are a lot of fun. When you're setting up your block center, your math or manipulative center, ask some of your parents who may be engineers or architects to donate some old designs to you and put those up in the center so that the children can see these diagrams and blueprints and everything, and then encourage the children to build what they see. or they could even create their own blueprints, their own designs, but really inspire them to be that architect. If you have access to a camera in the classroom, take some pictures of some of the designs that children build. Post that in the classroom and display it. It's really going to enhance that creativity. You know, superheroes are really popular right now with young children and with adults. So, you know, challenge the children to create their own superhero alter ego, and really talk about what does it mean to be a superhero. Now, of course, the children are going to immediately want to say, you know, they beat up the bad guys and they capture the bad guys or whatever. Focus on how superheroes use their power for good. All right, how superheroes help people rather than hurt people. And then, you know, really have some conversation about real life superheroes that we have, you know, firemen, police officers, you know, doctors, even some people in your community that have been identified as a hero, and have a conversation about this, and it encouraged the children once again to come up with their superhero identity or alter ego. It's a fun thing to do. All right. Make a classroom book. I know we've talked about this in previous webinars. Take some pictures of the children being creative, wearing really awesome outfits or performing something in a home center or dramatic play. Take pictures, narrate it, laminate it, put it in your literacy center. Children love it when you make these homemade books, especially when they're showing their creative side. We talked about things that they build in the Block Center, inspiring to be an architect. Take pictures of all those Block Center designs, even the really super simple ones, and make that into a book of all of the different things that children have built. They love this right here, and they will reproduce it, and it will challenge them to even do more. It's really cool stuff. Y'all remember Flat Stanley? You can create your own classroom Flat Stanley, and when you know that a child is going on vacation or going to grandma's house for the weekend, send your classroom Flat Stanley home with them and ask the parents to help or the guardians to help with taking some pictures. Bring that back in and share it with the classroom. Again, it's going to get the children excited, especially for their turn to take home Flat Stanley and all the creative and fun and exciting adventures that the child will have with Flat Stanley. For your older children, your kindergarten and school-age kids, you could create a political platform teaching the children about the system of checks and balances, teaching the children about differences of opinions and how people that have a difference of opinions come together and compromise for the better of the classroom or the better of the people. This is how politics are supposed to work, but you can kind of teach that platform in your classroom, and it's going to, you know, get the children to be creative on what is best for the classroom and how you work through these type of things. Bring Hollywood to your classroom. I love doing this in the dress-up center and the home and dramatic play. Kind of write out a script and have your children act it out in their funny outfits. Record it with a camera, and you know, and then if you can play this when parents are picking up, or display it in the lobby and have it ongoing and playing and looping, the kids absolutely love it. It's a fun idea. Another new fun little thing that I've done that is really fantastic is encouraging the children to create their own galaxy. You know, have the children come up with make-believe planets, and what is the planet called, and what does the planet look like, and the species that live on this planet, what do they look like, what do they sound like, you know, and you can really get the kids to be creative on this one. And we've taken this particular topic, you know, way out there, and long-term project too. It's really fun. Teach them a second language, especially if you have a child in the classroom. that speaks a second language, that really is going to be awesome to that family to include that child, and you're teaching the other children to say some of these words. If you don't have a child in your classroom that has a second language, you can choose a language that's popular in your community or make up a classroom language. When you make up a second language, again, they get very creative on what that sounds like and what it means, all these type of things. And the last thing to encourage creativity is celebrate. All right. When a child does something awesome in the classroom, celebrate that awesomeness, celebrate as often as possible. We want to encourage children to be creative thinkers, and we want them to feel comfortable doing this right here. All right. So awesome. That's just a little presentation for you on encouraging creativity. I hope that was beneficial for you right there. Again, remember this is a very short chapter. You only have 24 questions on this particular chapter, so that is going to be 3 worksheets for you. You are going to have 1 resource item that you will collect in this particular functional area, and you're going to see that over on, I lost it, question number 7 is going to ask you to create a learning experience exploring the creative arts. That's going to be resource item number 2-3. And again, you can get a better description of that in your competency standards, and then also in the back of your binder, I've given you some resources back there. All right. On your quiz that you will take for this particular functional area, you see here you've got 5 pretty quick questions right here. They're all pretty easy, so I don't anticipate anyone having issues with this particular functional area quiz. All right, so that is our presentation this week on functional area creative. Again, there's only 1 webinar for this particular functional area, so you won't have anything to watch on Thursday. This will give some of y'all a chance to get caught up. But like I said, some of these questions may take you just a little bit, so I think you've got plenty of work to do this week. All right. Again, call me, email me. Text me if you have any questions or if you're struggling with anything. I am out of town all week this week, but I get done with class at 3 o'clock each day, and I'm available for you after that point. All right. I hope everyone is having a wonderful week, and I will chat with all of you later. See you later.